All right. So, Dixie's all. I'm happy that I can finally spend some time with my waifu, Starlight Glimmer. It's Starlight's like, yo, just a heads up, I got this bracelet on my hook that whenever one of the fags at the school needs me, I'll be popping in and out, just so you know.
And then Mod Pie, this whole episode was just like this. No, okay, so
I'm a Duper rock.
Okay, so this is in an odd move, although not an unwelcome one. In an odd move, this is the second episode, not in a row, but this is the second episode in the final countdown, season of the show, where none of the main six show up. Now Papa was happy because the homie Starlight was finally getting an episode, and I was like, dude, she hasn't been here at all, and it was really weird considering just how much she was around, like, a season and a half ago, and she was barely here in 9, but she's here, and I'm like, okay, sick. And it's another episode of what's the word? Secondaries. The villains got an episode.
Mm-hmm.
Now the secondaries get an episode. And it's
all the secondaries.
This episode is, I think, an episode that a lot of people can relate to. Because, like Starlight Glimmer, I too have been in a scenario where you just want to make time for fun, but you're so busy with stuff and you're getting called back and forth. Now, this part I can't specifically relate to, but in Starlight's case specifically, it was specifically Trixie who was getting pissed at her because she's like, brah, where you at? Basically, this episode was kind of like, remember the episode where Applejack and Rarity were trying to go to a sauna?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is like that episode. Yeah, this is like that, except it was like, so how do I word this? So 2 lesbians are trying to hang out, right? And one of them's super working, and the other one's like, dude, let's chill. But then the other one's like, no, sorry, bae, I gotta work. She has a bracelet on, and every time someone knocks on her door, she's like, oops, yee. And Starlight is getting... I found Trixie to be, or I guess you could call her the great and powerful lesbian. I found her to be equal parts endearing, but also annoyed in this episode. She started off endearing, ended up annoying, and we'll work our way through that.
And see, here's the thing. Right at the beginning here, I totally feel for Trixie. I do, because it's the kind of thing where it's like, I would understand if it's every once in a while that her being pissed wouldn't be okay, but it's like every 5 seconds sort of thing.
Yeah. So basically, Trixie throughout this whole episode, she was like this. I'm so lonely. So lonely.
What is that from?
Oh, that's from Team America.
Oh, nice.
America.
Yeah.
Okay, so
coming around to save the motherfucking day.
Yeah. So what happens is, it's like John said, Starlight's trying to hang out with Trixie. Trixie's like, dude, bro, we've had no time together. And Starlight's like, hey, shit happens. But then she's like, oh, gotta go. And like I said, bracelet on her hoof. And anytime someone knocks at the door, and this is like a good first quarter of the episode, she's like, oh, adios. And apparently, Trixie, Starlight, Maud, and Mudbriar are going to have a get-together in that secret cave that Rarity, I think, discovered 2-3 seasons ago or whatever. And Trixie's like, we promised to do all this, we promised to do all that. They're essentially going on a double date with them, with the heteros, but they didn't say it like that because, TV Y7. So they're like, we got to get these streamers. Mrs. Cake's going to show us how to bake this cake. Got to do all this crazy stuff. And keep in mind, so keep in mind, you know how I just said every single thing like that uninterrupted? Trixie would start to say part of one of those things, and then Starlight would have to go. Like, unless you watch the episode, it's really, like, literally, Trixie would be
Really
like,
hard
okay.
to explain.
Yeah, because literally, Trixie would be like, okay, first we gotta go. Then she'd come back, okay, what's up? Well, first we gotta get the streamers, and then, oh, bye-bye, yeet, comes back. Okay, what was that? So we got it, and it for like 2 whole minutes.
And
Really
I
gets the
gotta
point across.
I love like I have to say if you remember in the Road to Friendship, everything they did
Was a
so
euphemism.
was like so passive aggressive.
Oh yeah, that
And
too.
the same thing is happening here with Trixie. She's like angrily biting into a tea cake, and she's just like sipping all angrily. And I'm just like, yes, this is so perfect.
I feel like Trixie is a little more outwardly aggressive, at least compared to Starlight. She's the one that'll more readily voice her concerns. But yeah, Starlight's still her awkward self, but I wouldn't have her any other way. So
Oh yeah.
and stuff like this has been done in shows before where literally someone is being taken away any second on a phone call or this and that. I feel like with Starlight's teleportation stuff, it's actually more accurately representative of the fact that, like, yeah, when we get busy with something, we don't teleport there, but our mind instantly teleports there as we put everything else on the back burner. So I thought that was a successful writing device. So eventually, there's a brick joke throughout this whole thing where Silverstream is like, okay, bro, I'm trying to describe to my family what water is outside of water. And Starlight's
Try to
like,
describe to them how showers work. Can you give me some euphemisms for showering that is just instead of like water? It's like, well, clean. Like the only ones I've had is clean and it's just like and like warmth.
yeah.
And it's just like, what the hell?
So Starlight fails to get anything done, and Trixie does everything by her lonesome. And then she goes to the Cake's place. And she's like, yo, Mrs. Cake, wait, you got to show me and Trixie how to do a thing. And she's like, bro, don't even sweat. I already taught Trixie how to do the thing. By the way, your foot's glowing. Starlight's like, gosh, dang it.
Yeah, and I love how Mrs. Cake is just like, I don't really know how to say this, but your hoof's glowing?
So and I thought this was funny. She goes into her office, teleports into her office, and Trixie's waiting in there with the light off. And I was like, and I thought that was great. So they're talking back and
looking
forth
all menacingly, and each time Trixie's trying to say something, there's another student knocking on the door and trying to sneak in, and every time Trixie just looks back like, "Don't you fucking dare!"
The best part was at the end of this, where I think we're getting bits mixed up. But so Trixie's giving her the big talk about how this isn't fair. You aren't making time for me or our friends or this and that. And Starlight's like, dude, I run a school. And then Silverstream comes back in, and she's like, yo, Starlight, you got a sec? And Starlight's like, you know what? No. You're a smart gal. You figure it out for yourself. You're a strong, independent female character. You go smash that patriarchy, Silverstream. And then Silverstream dyes her hair red, cuts it short, and starts a Tumblr. And so,
God, I thought you were gonna say you're a smart gal. You go ahead and smash that like button.
And turn on the notification bell. Okay, so
join our notification squad, bitch.
So they go to the cave. They're with Mudbriar, who, by the way, Mudbriar is back, and he's a lot more tolerable in this episode.
I know, like, oh my gosh, and he sounds so much more like Sheldon Cooper.
Technically, he was already an homage to Sheldon Cooper, so he could not already be Sheldon Cooper.
but technically, he sounds a lot more like Sheldon Cooper than the initial one.
But yeah, no, he's a lot more manageable, and they don't directly call him out on it because that would just be pandering. But he does get run in by the old social cues. So I was like, you know what? That's nice. That's a nice change. I feel like he's grown as a character, and this is his second appearance. So they're in the cave, and they're hanging out.
Party.
Yeah, they're having a good time. All of a sudden, who should show up? But gosh darn,
Terramar.
I remembered. Terramar and
Terramorphing.
Pterodactyl. So he's like, he's like, dude, I know I'm the most random secondary character to ever show up again, and I'm not even the most requested. I mean, seriously, 3 years later, we still can't get that one Griffin back that was basically Pinkie Pie. But anyway, I'm here.
Where the fuck is Gabby? She was awesome.
Yeah, we can't get Gabby back, but you know what? I'm back. And bro, check it. Silverstream's my sister, and like she's missing. And Starlight is like, are you for real? I spent a whole day talking to these bastards, and then the one time I don't, she goes off in MIA. She goes off into the what's the Suicide Forest called? She goes off into the Genki Daro. I think I messed that up. Point is, she's lost it. They search the school. Her and Pterodactyl go and search the school. They can't find her, but in her room they notice some notes, and the notes point her in the direction of the Everfree Forest. So they're outside the school, and then Trixie, Maud, and Mudbriar show up, and she's like, "What on earth are you doing here?" And they're like, well, we are just going to let you, have all the screen time. What is this, season 7? So they're like, dude, we're totes coming with you. She's like, okay, this is literally the weirdest ensemble cast I think the show's ever had. But you know what?
Sense to wear him back again.
Yeah, but you know what? That's fine by me, because you know what? This is the shit that the fan fictions of dreams are made of. Mm-hmm. So they go into the Everfree Forest.
Oh, and one thing I want to mention before this.
Yeah.
There is one really funny scene of when they're doing like a little montage of Starlight doing her counseling thing. And it's where Gallus and Smolder are sitting there, and Smolder just has this smirk on her face while Gallus brings a book over, opens it up, and just ash falls out of it.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was a good sight gag. So they go on.
The sad part is that's the main picture that people are using for the clock, where it's just random clock pictures in that book instead of like the actual ash. I'm like, what the hell?
Sometimes this fandom disappoints me.
It's okay. Like, why'd you ship me with Sandbar?
So they're in the forest, and Trixie's like, bro, check this. I can track them. And I'm like, okay. But no, they devote like a minute of screen time. She's going full naked snake here. She's checking the wind. She's looking for footprints. Her camo index is up. She's calling Sigan and Major Zero for information on weapons in the local wildlife. Wait, that was paramedic. Anyway, she's literally munching dirt and stuff. She's licking it, and all I could think of is 9 years ago. 9 years ago, this one shot, nothing character showed up, almost got eaten by a bear. She's had her entire life wrecked twice. And she never really realistically should have been seen again. But 9 years ago, she shows up. And 9 years later, she is one of the best parts of the show whenever she shows up. Can you imagine, John, 9 years ago, Do you remember all the fan fictions, the fan art, the revenge stories, the redemption stories, until like the rest of the villains
All the
and
sad fics about her.
yeah, literally until like Discord and Sombra and Sunset Shimmer in the first movie showed up. Everyone treated Trixie like she was just the worst possible thing.
Well, it didn't help that her episode wasn't all that great, like her debut episode.
Oh no, I still stand by the fact that she was the good guy just doing her job, and then Rainbow Dash was a complete jerkwad. Anyway,
which will be revisited in season 2 with Mysterious Mare Noel.
Yeah, so, and then 8, 7, 9, 6 years later, she's one of the best parts of the show. That's the weirdest thing to me about all this is how far Trixie has come, and it's just and I'm watching her literally eat dirt.
Yep.
And I'm just like, 9 years ago.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I can't believe I even used to mildly entertain the idea of Trix Light or whatever that old ship used to be called. I can't see her with anyone else other than Starlight.
And here's the thing. Not only am I thinking of that, I'm thinking of when I first was introduced to the show with Sweet and Elite, where Rarity is kissing Celestia's hooves nonstop. And I'm just like, what is this show? And now, 8 years later, the same shit. She eats dirt. What is this show?
What about Mod Pie 4 years ago?
Oh gosh. Yeah,
anyway.
5 years ago was just like the best dry humor episode of the entire show.
Oh, God.
And every single episode she got better and better. I love you, Pinky. 5 ever.
Or even Starlight. 5 years, just 5 years ago, dude. So anyway, after I've literally seen about 7 or 8 years of my life go full circle in a freaking minute. Just think, 10 years ago, none of these characters were in the show except Trixie once, and they get their own episode. Holy God. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I think it's awesome that we're talking like this. This is just cool.
They're blasting CCR as they literally run through the jungle. Charlie's firing from all the sniper points. Mudbriar almost falls in a jungle trap. Okay, those last 2 things didn't happen. Point is, eventually they're lost, but they
keep coming back to the statue.
Yeah, and then what should show up in the Everfree Forest but a cockatrice, and not just a bunch. There's a
full-on flock.
And John, listen to me. 9 years ago, there was an episode where everyone was lied to because we all thought we knew where the CMC's destiny was going, and none of that happened. If anything I can say this show didn't deliver on was arguably the CMC, but 9 years ago, we got the Stare. The Stare is 9 years old, Jonathan.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
This literal chicken snake shows up, and then it's gone.
And then of course, you have God burst down across you for insurance money. It's a terrifying picture with the body of a snake. Why, if I ever saw one of them cocks, I'd laugh at how silly it was. No, never look one in the eye. And then it comes out of the foliage and it's all pixelated. Oh God.
And then 9 years later, there's like 20 of them. They're different colors. I think the purple ones are the girl.
Something like that.
So what are they? Are they the Vagitres? I don't.
The Vagitres.
No, I'm kidding. I know how. I said that I know how the mythological creature, the cockatrice, works. Anyway, and then
just wanted to make a silly joke.
They're terrified. They're running around. I mean, why don't you? the Medusa is like one of the only things they never. A Gorgon is one of the only things they never had in this show. So for all intents and purposes, and I think those things are part Gorgon in Greek mythology. Don't quote me, but these things can turn you into stone, and it's like whoa. So Starlight. So they all split up. Starlight goes back and forth, teleports them all out. Then she goes for Maud and Mudbriar. And then, really quick, I just remembered a funny gag I liked. When they're marching through the woods, Mudbriar has a branch and he's looking at it with a magnifying glass. But when I saw that first, I didn't immediately see the branch. And I thought, and he was walking right behind Maud. So I thought to myself, is this dude taking a magnifying glass to his own girl's ass? I'm like, is it possible for one to be so thick? Or is that lack of thick? Anyway, I thought that was hilarious, and that should make rounds on image boards. Anyway,
God, you have cardboard flaps where your ass should be.
I got a friend. He has no ass. It's like little flaps.
Oh, gosh.
I'm just saying. So they find each other, and Maud's like, I'm not leaving him. I'm like, they're like, what? Starlight is asking. And then it reveals Mudbriar has been turned to stone, and Jesus, Maud could not be more turned on.
I know. I'm just like, he's rock hard. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I'm like, man, you're about to make this show TV PG, right?
And it's just like, he's so much better this way. He's so hunky. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Now, I'm not going to lie. I hate to be a killjoy, especially because I've been singing this episode's praises. But the Maud likes him as a rock joke, I thought was getting just the littlest bit old near the end. Because, like, if you think about it, Maud Pie in her debut episode, she never acted like that again after that. She was completely deadpan, completely monotone, and it was played for comedy, not social awkwardness for a plot point like in the episode. And the reason I say that is because Maud being turned on by rocks was never a thing in the show. That was a joke the fans made. And Mudbriar being turned into stone and stuff, and her making those comments, to me, I thought, okay, it's one of those examples of how to and how not to do what's the word I'm looking for? Not nods to the fan base, but pandering, I guess. Because there's a point where I was like, okay, we get it. She likes, because they repeated the joke in different ways, but they repeat it like 9 times. Maybe it was more like 6 or 7, but it was more than 5, which is like 3 more than it should have been. And I'm just like, I don't know. I found myself feeling. You know what it is? I don't have like a weirdly high bar of anything for this show, but at the same time, I'm just like, it just felt so. So we're not lowbrow, lazy, because I was just like, come on, you're just you or I could have wrote that joke and we wouldn't even need to make 4 or 5 figure salaries a year. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's a nitpick. So they get out and then they're running and they get to the Young Six's neat castle that the Everfree Forest made for them. And
and I love how Trixie's like, how long has that been there? Oh, it was just something.
Good question.
Yeah, it's like the Tree of Harmony just sprung that up for some reason. Oh my gosh, Silverstream may have gone in there. And I know my wife was just like, yes, we're finally seeing the interior.
Yeah, and surprise, surprise, it just kind of looks like the inside of Twilight's castle, but weird. Ironically enough, the castle that isn't for the Pony Princess is pink, or it's more pink. So they go inside, and can I just say, Silverstream's in a study. Her study office is nice. I was like, dude, Twilight, you suck, dude.
Yeah.
So they go up to her. And they're like, Silverstream, where in the heckity heck have you been? And she was like, well, after Starlight proved less helpful than useful, I thought, you know what? She has a point. I should try to do it myself. So I So I set off on my own. I learned some things, and I'm finishing my report. Oh, also, I tamed the cockatrice. Did I mention I tamed the cockatrice?
I
And
think
I'm
I
like,
mentioned I tamed a cockatoo.
and I'm just like, LeMayo, what? You can do that? I thought the way it worked was, now I don't mean to be a mythology mark, but if a Gorgon looks at you at any capacity, you're stoned. It's not like God of War where like their eyes have to glow and you just have to like and you could just like flex the golden fleece and then throw their gaze back at them. Seriously, that's how you had to kill them. It's
I
like
know. I
they look at
remember
you.
playing the original God of War, and I
Yeah.
got up to the point where you had those guys that had shields that were really hard to beat. Um, and
Oh yeah.
you were in that one room where the floor had a time limit, and then once that time limit stopped, the floor would fall out and you die.
Pandora's box, that
Yeah.
temple, that whole level was an asshole.
Yeah, I got to that point and I stopped playing because I got so damn frustrated.
Dude, that first game's the hardest one. It out of all of them, like on a platforming level, on a combat level, it's not unfairly because I've beaten the game multiple times. So it's just back in that era where games were hard and the reward was you got to beat them and maybe play through the game in a funny costume.
Although, do you remember the Easter egg that came out of that first game where you call the God of War number? I have
Yeah.
that on my phone, and I will call it on occasion, and it still fucking works in
Still
2019.
active?
It's
Holy
still
shit.
active.
Yo, I'm not even joking. I want you to text me that so I can add it to a contact in my phone so I can just be like, yo, y'all, hold up. I need to call Kratos.
Yeah, right.
Well, technically, it's like the game's director, and then Kratos comes and yells at him. But my point is, so Silverstream
Ares. Sorry.
So Silverstream tames a cockatrice, and she's like, "Yo, I'm sorry, the time got away from me, and I completely forgot to tell anybody." And I'm like, "You know what? That's fair. That's pretty valid. But at the same time, wasn't your family like waiting for you? I mean, whatever." So they go back to the party, and I didn't bring this up because I wanted to bring it up now. It's the end of the episode where Starlight laments her failings, and there's three different sides in this. Two of them from Starlight. Starlight said Starlight was originally, I need to be there for my students at all times. And then she's like, well, maybe I should be there some of the time so that when I'm there, they can sort out their stuff and it's important. And then there's Silverstream, excuse me. And then there's Silverstream where she was kind of like, well, you actually weren't able to help me. So in this scenario, I was only able to help myself. And this was my thing on Trixie. I sympathized with her heavily throughout the first half of the episode. But then there came a turn where Silverstream vanished and Starlight was worried. I felt that Trixie wasn't given enough grief as she probably deserved. Sort of like when Starlight sold her wagon on the road to friendship, where it's like, Trixie got upset and mad and like yelled at her, but at the same time, I felt like it could have gone more with it. I felt like Trixie didn't really get the lashing out she probably deserved because it's a scenario where it's like she is right, and she's probably more right than wrong, Trixie is, but what she was wrong about was pretty heavy stuff, and I don't know. I just felt like Starlight could have at least done a simple, like, well, it's your fault I turned Silverstream away, just something like that, whereas all we got was Starlight looking at her twice and going, really? Which, yeah, they were funny. But those are, all I really had to say about this episode are nitpicks, which I guess is good. And then the episode ends with them chilling in the cave, and
Yeah.
that's the episode. Now, I thought this episode was quite good. I'm going to give this one an 8.5 because initially when I watched it twice. When I first watched it, I don't know why, I was just in a weird zone. And I was just like, it's whatever. But I watched it again before we reviewed it, and I was like, you know what? It was pretty good, pretty good. So yeah, that's my feelings on it.
Okay. I'm just gonna say I'm giving this my first 10 of the season. Because
Wait, what?
the reason is because it was a good setup, good payoff, good storyline, and it actually made me like Mudbriar. It made me like Mudbriar.
Wow.
People who saw the episode with Mudbriar originally, I could not stand him. And now he's actually pretty good. Like his lines were actually very well written. And again, it was also a really nice combobulation of secondary characters. So yeah.
No, I mean, I could see it. It's your show, so your review matters more than mine. So, yeah, no, it's not bad. So, if I'm not mistaken, the next episode, it's a CMC episode.
Yes, it is called The Last Crusade.
Oh, thanks. I needed those feels.
I know, because it's like nice Indiana Jones reference of my favorite of the original trilogy. Unexpected visitors to Ponyville threaten to break up the Cutie Mark Crusaders forever. Now, considering all the articles that have been coming out, they are making the two haunts from the books canon.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's no reason sugarcoating it. This episode's had more press than any other episode so far. Yeah.
This episode's going to have actual lesbian horses.
Which, wait, let me gather myself. It, as an OG fan from 7 years, I was a fan, but I feel like I count as OG because I became a fan before the season 2 finale. I came into the show like over halfway through season 2's run. Anyway, my point is, part of me is legitimately disappointed that the first canonized lesbian relationship, not Flutterdash, not Rarejack, not Twi-Pie, which are my ships, but I'm bummed it wasn't Lyra and Bonbon.
Okay, I can totally see that.
It should have been Lyra and Bonbon or Starlight and Trixie. But honestly, it should have. I'm sorry. It should have been Sweetie Drops and Bonbon. You saw Slice of Life.
They were sucking each other off real hard.
They were fishing for clams, my dude. They were out to lunch, and they were the lunch. But you know what? I'm okay with it. I mean, representation and all that, blah, 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 blah. It's more for the fact that, they incorporated this thing from the books. It adds to Scootaloo's character, who was basically our favorite. I mean, I guess I have to say that now because, let's be honest, Sweetie Belle has gotten the crap end of the development stick since season 5. They barely show up anymore. I don't even care about the CMC. Ever since everyone knew this was going to happen. Everyone said this was going to happen. Everyone decried that this was going to happen. But I told them they were wrong because how could they do that? But everyone said the moment they get their cutie marks, the second they get their cutie marks, they're going to matter less and show up less. And I went, no. They said they're going to be less good of characters. I went, no. They said they're going to have little to no development, and their episodes are going to repeat themselves, kind of like how they already do. And I went, no. Well, then I backtracked and said, possibly. And look what happened.
Now, the thing I have to say about next week's episode is the fact that I'm just hoping that that the fandom's reaction to the episode is not going to be the same reaction they did to the Big Mac cross-dressing episode. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because it felt like the only thing people wanted to talk about was that Big Mac was transgender and LGBT inclusion and all that stuff. And I'm like, that's all well and good. let's look at the episode as it actually is.
Well, here's
I'm just
my
hoping that it happens that way.
Well, here's my thing. I haven't seen the episode yet. I won't say that. Anyway, I haven't seen that episode yet. The one with School's ants or whatever. I'm gonna say the Big Mac thing wasn't even actual inclusion. It was just Big Mac pretending to be a woman for Apple Bloom's thing.
And
If
people,
anything,
they gave him an inch and people took a mile.
if anything, it was something out of like an old Looney Tunes sketch. I mean, Bugs used to dress and drag all the time. So to me, when I saw that episode, I was more reminded of Bugs Bunny imagery. This, on the other hand, is actual inclusion. But you know what? I trust this show. And I mean that full-heartedly. I trust the show. I trust this team. I promise. I can almost guarantee you that the episode is that when you add stuff like this to a show, the key is, can it be good with or without it? It's like a relationship or romance in anything in general that's not overtly romance. It's like, is it good with or without it? And if the answer is yes, then if it's there, does it enhance it or does it take away? And with this show, this crew, I feel like it can only either be good with or without it, or it can enhance. I don't think they'll do it bad. You know what? I almost want to just watch the scene on YouTube, but I want to just find the clip when they show up and then watch the episode after that, just so I can have it in my mind that the show did this, because this is Hasbro. Nothing against Hasbro, but on super kid friendly stuff like this, they're always a little more. It's different when it's something like Loud House or Steven Universe, because that's like age 12 to like 19 type of stuff. But this is technically still age like 5 to 13, so it's pretty ballsy. The balls on these guys is what I'm saying. But no, I have full faith it'll be just fine. It won't be pandering, and you're not gonna hear them talk about how great Equestria is because it's run by a sisterly matriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they actually say that, in which case I will fly to Canada and I will punch DHX in the face. everyone that's hired by them.
Yeah.
I'll get them on the quartering.
So until next time, that's it from me, John.
And me, the loud fat guy.
And we will talk to you guys later. Peace out, Dragon.
Adios.